Hi all, welcome to episode 14, where today on Keeping Up with Conspicuous, we're going to talk about the benefits of working with a recruiter from a client perspective. Now I know Lucy will agree, we've done quite a few candidate focus and employee focus podcasts recently. So we really wanted to hit the mark here and talk about clients and sort of companies and their perspective on things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And actually, we've got to mention the virtual thing, Luce.
Yeah, I know, guys. Working up north this week. But the good thing is we've got the technology to still be able to podcast. So I'm sat on the floor currently because my workspace there's so much sun is coming through, which is unheard of up north, and you couldn't see me, so apologies.
That's lighting.
I'm here.
Okay, cool. So remember, if you've got any questions, please comment on the live. We'll be happy to ask them throughout, but please do make sure they're relating to what we're talking about. Cool. So do you want to kick us off, Luce? What do you think are one of your top benefits for working with recruiters for clients?
One of the benefits when you're working with us would be we're specialised in what we do. So obviously we're specialised within Dynamics. So those that are hiring for Dynamics roles can come to us with trust that we have the knowledge on the role that you're recruiting for, and we are able to find and resource that to them. Obviously, if you're looking for a Dynamics role and you go to a generic IT recruitment company, then obviously they may not be specialised as such. They might have departments.
Take a bit longer, or
yeah, and it would take longer. And the benefit of us knowing about the technology, the roles, and having that knowledge saves you a lot of time, because we can do those pre-screening questions and extract what you need to know about them before they even get to the point of talking to you. So obviously, in turn, that eliminates the factor of rubbish CVs that aren't relevant. That you still
time, and I guess we know the exact skills you need, and maybe we can advise on what the market's looking like, and you might need to drop this skill because, like, we worked with one of my clients, Luce, didn't we, last week, and we sort of what's the word I'm looking for, advised them on the market and how there weren't that many people in that area, were struggling to find people because of the high level of caliber of talent they're looking for. So we said, look, we can find people, they may just have a little bit less experience in this area, and they've opened up the search and, you know, interviews lined up. So I want to talk about Luce. I wrote down, so Lucy knows that before the podcast, like, I literally shut my eyes and I wrote down like 10 things really quickly to just help prompt me. Networks. So LinkedIn networks, LinkedIn followers, so that side of things. And then our own internal database. So that's, I guess, what I was thinking on, like, network wise.
Absolutely.
I looked at our LinkedIn followers the other day, and so at Conspicuous, we have over 100,000 followers on LinkedIn, probably over if you count the US team as well. That's a very rough estimate, but something like that, obviously. So that, like, exposure.
Well, that's the UK team alone, isn't it? Because I've got over 7,000, you've got over 8,000, Philippa's got over 20 something thousand, or she was 30, I can't remember. Loads across the board. And I would say, actually, we get probably just over 50% of our good candidates through the network. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Because we obviously do. So we all have LinkedIn recruiter licenses at Conspicuous. We all post adverts at Conspicuous. We all have like something like 20 slots for adverts on LinkedIn each, which is unheard of, Luce, isn't it, for a recruitment agency, as well as posting on every job board site and reaching out to people on networks. So if you think about it, if we've got all those followers, every time Lucy posts an advert, she's going to have all of her followers on LinkedIn see that job ad. Yeah.
Well, our marketing lady, how much have you got it up to now? Was it 38,000?
38,000
on that's just our company page alone. And I just think it's such a strong tool that people don't utilize. Like, you get 100 connections a week. use them. Like, people will obviously connect with you. The more you post, the more traction you get, the more people connect with you instead of you having to connect with them. It's such a powerful tool, and it's so underutilized.
And I guess for like hiring managers and people like that on the client side who are recruiting for loads of different roles, they might not have the time to invest into building up LinkedIn and networking like we do, which I guess is, we can prioritize it. So, you know, we're also bringing people in through podcasts and reaching out to people like that. So I guess that's what makes us stand out in terms of utilizing LinkedIn for clients.
And as a client, looking at a recruiter's profile, if they've got sub 100 followers or connections or whatever, like, you know, you don't feel, although it might not be a representation of that specific individual as such, but you would be more inclined to work with someone who's got a bit of a following, who has a network, who is constantly posting and, you know, going there.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I would say you kind of touched on this earlier as well when you said this earlier, but obviously, but you said the word market insights. So I think that is so key. Like, we're in and amongst it the whole time. We're in and amongst it from every angle as well. Clients, candidates. And obviously, as a client, you only sort of get one perspective, and you might have the odd conversation with a candidate over the phone. But we're hearing it every day. We do our own research into the market. We look at articles. We attend the conferences that clients may not have the time to do. So
exactly,
and we're here to guide. And I feel like this is where a lot of recruiters have a slight downfall. They sort of run with what clients say, but don't advise them. And I feel like that's such a key
of a consultative approach, and more of a, let me fling you 100 CVs. You interview 10% of them, placement. But no, like us, as Lucy said, it's very much a process of like listening, advising, updating, filling, sending, you know, maybe 3 CVs to each role to placement. Like, okay, ideally 1-to-1, but it's not going to work like that every time, is it? Like, so
for sure.
And if you haven't taken on or interviewed at least 1 out of 3 CVs we've sent, we're getting on a call. We're going to talk about why that's not the case. We're going to sort of listen to why and how we can, I don't know, Lucy said it's literally just adapting things where we need to. I'm going to do a slight diverge, Luce. We've got a question coming on the live.
Yeah. Hi, Charlie.
Yeah, go on, you read it out.
Okay, so Charlie has said, are you recruiting most of your talent from LinkedIn? How does LinkedIn compare to other job boards that you may use? I think that's such a good question. I love that. Do you want to kickstart us off there?
So I think for us, because we do a lot of marketing and we've invested really heavily into LinkedIn, we naturally ourselves personally get a lot. I'd say 80% of the roles I fill are from LinkedIn. The others, maybe 90%, I'm not going to lie. And then for me, 10% are like candidates I've maybe previously placed and that have come back to me, or referrals. I think other job boards, I have placed someone. So I've been working as a recruiter for just under 2.5 years now. I've placed one person off Indeed, and I've placed no one off like CV Library or anything like that.
I think those job boards, though, they're not as tailored. Like CV Library, I like it because it tells you the percentage. It shows if it's green, but even then, it's not really that accurate, I find. And like, I don't know, I find it really hard. Like, I have on Indeed, I have saved searches set up, and the candidate I sent you this morning, Ty, was from there, and that was really lucky across it. Really lucky. And I thought, like, I haven't seen someone like that on LinkedIn before, because usually it would just give me, it would just give me sort of someone who might have dipped their toe in it, but not a soul.
It's not as like focused, is it? Yeah.
Whereas I feel like you can be like extremely specialized and like, picky with the people you can find on LinkedIn. And I don't know.
Do you know what I reckon? Do you reckon it's because we don't find it as user friendly? and maybe that translates to candidates and clients not using it as much.
Yeah, and I would say there's a lot more training on LinkedIn and workshops where you can learn how to fully utilize it to its capabilities.
Yeah.
Whereas, I guess that, with CV Library, Indeed, Read and stuff, you don't really get too much like training on it. So maybe we aren't using it how it should be. Maybe it could be that, but we're just very strong on LinkedIn, I guess, as individuals. That's quite subjective from
and
our
I think, as Lucy said, it's important to, if you're a client, still be like making sure recruiters you're working with advertising on those avenues, because you will get the odd person pop up that maybe previously got a job on Indeed, and so they have a preference of finding jobs on Indeed. So it's always very subjective. But for us, you know, you get that network on LinkedIn. Like I said, when we post a job and it's posted on our company page, we're having a combined employee network of over 100,000 people seeing that job advert instantly. So, and you know they're in the space, they're relevant. You can't really see that on Indeed, can you? So it's okay. Next point then. So this is a little bit more specific to us, Luce. I was kind of playing on the point of the success we've seen by investing in tech, specifically Hinterview.
Yes.
You wanted to do this one.
Yeah. One thing we will mention now, just while we're on the topic of it, so Hinterview, you'll know a little bit more about it as we explain it now, but we've actually got a podcast booked with the lovely girls from there in a couple of weeks. I think it's 2 weeks' time. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. In 2 weeks' time, we've got a really exciting podcast lined up for you to know a little bit more about the future of tech and how it's evolved into what it is currently. So that'll be good. But
and just the use of videos in the recruitment world.
Yeah. So we're lucky, and we've always said this. Rob, our director, is just he's just phenomenal. That's one word, isn't it? Like, we're so lucky that he invests. Like, it was actually me, wasn't it? I came back from the TRN event that I went to, heard of Hinterview, and I was like, like, we need to invest, we need to look into it, and look at where we are now. We had the call, we think it's really useful, and now we use it. But
video, and maybe that's another benefit, Luce, of working with recruiters, working with a recruiter who the owner, the director, is so flexible to invest in technologies and will listen to what their employees want. Maybe that's another benefit of which recruiter to work with. But sorry, I interrupted you, so carry on.
No, but I just think everything is constantly evolving. Recruitment, old techniques, some definitely still work. However, sometimes you still do have to adapt. And I done a post on it the other day about adaptability is probably the key thing that I think a recruiter needs to have. And we've adapted. Some people it's harder to adapt to. I get that. But we've adapted well to the new technology of videos.
We're not afraid of change.
So one benefit of working with a recruiter from a client perspective is we have the tools such as Hinterview to poach and get some interaction with those passive candidates. So we learned that 70% of the passive candidates are actually potentially open, but people and clients don't target them the right way. And this is where video technology has really come into it, I would say. And we've had a lot of learning, a lot of things we've had to learn about it and how to do it properly. We're still learning. But this is the thing, like, recruiters can invest the time into learning how to get into those passive candidate markets. So we've been using Hinterview, and we use it for candidates, we use it for clients, but we find most of the passive talent respond to a video. And look at the responses you've had, Tyler.
I've seen a lot recently. I did a post on LinkedIn last week about receiving feedback when reaching out for new business, and I've had like over 50% response rate on videos now. And I think just when you're working with a recruiter, your recruiter should know, and like Lucy said, they should have that ability to adapt when reaching out to candidates for you. They should know when they need to change their approach. So whether I need to be non-assumptive or I need to send a job description straight away. What does this candidate prefer? How experienced are they? What do we think is going to maybe annoy them or not annoy them? The recruiter should just be smart and know the market and know what people want. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, if I'm reaching out to IT directors for an IT director role, they don't want BS. They want a job description. They want salary info. They want a non-assumptive approach, like straight to the point, and they appreciate it. And I've learned that over the 2 years, and I now don't waste my time. Yeah. Okay. So that, I guess we'll like dive more into that in sort of the next podcast. But I think while I remember, Luce, Recruiter Insider, another really important external thing that we've invested in.
I think this is more tailored to us, and I guess this is sort of why you should work with Conspicuous as a client, or recruiters that have a director that invests.
Yeah.
But Recruiter Insider is a feedback platform, and all of our candidates, whenever we submit them to somewhere, whenever they first interview, whenever they final interview, whenever they've been onboarded, receive an interview. Oh my god. Receive feedback. Receive a feedback survey from Recruiter Insider to fill out. Now, we're quite lucky. We get quite good response rates, I would say.
We do,
we've only been using it since October, November last year, I want to say.
Yeah.
That's flown by. It's only been a year. Oh my god. But yeah, so this feedback platform is so useful. But for clients specifically, we actually had a little tutorial yesterday for our best practice to know more about it. But we receive such valuable feedback for clients, and like we get feedback about how they are as a hiring manager and how they found the process with that specific client. We get how their onboarding process is. We can literally see maybe where their strengths are as a client or where their working points are. I wouldn't say
make more successful with future hires, like reduce hiring costs, reduce time. It all plays into one, doesn't it? So
absolutely, it's so important. Like we get all these data visualization tools with it as well, where we can see the percentages. It goes into pie charts.
Look at you with your fancy words.
It's because I've been working on a lot of data roles at the moment. You see, I'm learning the lingo. But I think it's so useful, and yeah, I just think, you know, for a client, like you're getting that service with us, like you're not having to pay extra for it. Obviously, obviously you're more. We do sort of have some sort of system where if you want it will be like a, you know, the higher the fee, the more we can give as such. But I don't know if you've got any more. I just love.
No, I think it's so important. It's like this whole all comes into that consultative approach, like working with a recruiter who can provide you extra value outside of just filling the role. And I know a lot of clients will be like, well, look, I don't care, fill my role, make my life easy, fine. But actually there is a lot of value that can be added from the way you approach candidates and the way we can give you feedback. But I mean, the last one from me, Luce, only really that I can think of that is really quite important that people often miss out would be recruiters should be doing a culture check. When they first speak to a candidate and do a screening call before sending to a client, your recruiter and like recruiters in general, as far as I know, should be culture checking for company fit. That will save you time. The candidate could be bang on with experience, but quite frankly, if you visited offices and been to events with clients and you know they're just not going to fit in, we should be saving you time by not having to like interview them and know they're not going to be the right fit.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, to round it all up, I would say key points are everything sort of comes back to time saving, money saving for you, because we invest our own money into the tools. You don't have to. Having someone with a knowledge and specialised, you know, area that they are fully trained into, they invest their time to learn those roles, those areas of IT maybe, or whatever it may be. And I think there's so many things like we didn't actually touch upon when we said about interview. So just ahead of in the next 2 weeks. But Interview is a platform where you can record videos, either send them to a client or candidate, but also it's got the ability for you to conduct a first interview. And that's so valuable to clients. Like, we can literally conduct that first interview, which leads on to your point about culture fit, because with a culture, you don't get it from a CV. It's a piece of paper. You can't know what someone's personality is. Touched on that last week, but
like, calling them up in the middle of work, they're not going to be necessarily as relaxed as they normally would. So
so I think having a recruiter that has the ability to do that for you, what a perk. Like, what a perk, because we can do that first interview, have them in front of you, a bit like how we're doing it now, I guess, with this setup. Talk to them, ask them the screening questions. You'll see who they are, how they react to questions, what they're like. Like, obviously, if you saw us two, we come across quite confident, and you can see that because of our mannerisms, the way that we talk confidently, but you wouldn't know that from a piece of paper. So it's so important.
No, exactly. Yeah, definitely. So I guess, like, to summarize as well, why work with a recruiter? While they can offer the adaptability for the market, and the advice on the market, just speed up the hiring process, and just they're investing in tech, really. So I guess, we kept it quite short and sweet, I think, this week, which is good. Next week will be a very special podcast with Helena, our marketing girl, and
behind the camera.
So there'll be more info to come on that one. And thank you so much for watching. Obviously, if you've got any questions after the podcast, please can you send us a message, LinkedIn personally, or on the company page. We'll be happy to answer. And if there are any clients out there that would like to work with us, obviously we're not going to say no, but
absolutely. I would say you've got to be picky with your recruiters. So if you're picky and still want to reach out to us after this, we'd be forever grateful to have a conversation with you guys. So absolutely. Well, thanks, Ty, for having me.
I'll see you in 8 minutes.
We've got another call, haven't we? Busy calls. Busy calls. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
Bye. Bye. Bye.